Hi guys, welcome back to My Faithful Heart, and today we are going to create one of these notes and prayers book. So I wanted to show you guys how it started out and how it's evolved, and then I'm going to do one which is going to be for my friend. This is the first one. So this is one that I have started making for myself. I didn't really make a cover for it because it's just going to be a book that I don't really care much about, and so I wouldn't feel bad in writing in it and just making scribbles and stuff, but I did decorate it a bit. So these are just Pabio paints, so this is how they look, and they translucent, and what I like about this paint is it takes ink really well, so it writes, you can write on it really well. So that's just how this one looks, and this is my personal one that I've started using, and I haven't finished decorating it yet. Up to this page, and then it's blank. So as you can see on this one, I binded it first and then I decorated it on top and made it the way I wanted it. But this is the next one that I made, and I also made this for a friend, but this one's a bit more thought out, and as you make these you kind of get an idea of what you're doing wrong. So this one I made a cover, and it's just some craft paper that I made, and I just did a little swatchy of paint on there, and I used a credit card to create that, and I stamped out. And then this is the inside. So for this pages, I actually did the pages first. I put paint on the pages first, front and back, and then I binded the pages. And I think this is a better way to go because you get better coverage on the pages without smearing it onto the next page, and also you can create pages like this where it's like it's very neat, where you've got one color and then another color, and you can also combine it to make one themed like this one. So I made a couple of these, and then when I binded them together I used the same colors so that they almost like a theme, but not all of them are like that, just a little bit for contrast. So this is a theme one again, and then contrast, and yeah, so I just played around a bit. And so this is the general idea of this book, is to write down your prayers and any notes that you might have had while reading the Bible or going to church and having some sermon notes. And then I just made some space for some scriptures and things that you might like to jot down. So it's actually a very personal thing, and I'm making this as gifts, but it's also kind of for encouragement. I mean, if you get something that's really pretty that you like, you are definitely more likely to use it than if you had to make it yourself, I think. Especially if you're not crafty like that and you don't really have ideas of what you can do with them. So I just thought that this would be a lovely gift to give to someone. And the person I made this for is a very strong lady who's been through a lot, and I just thought that this would be something that she could enjoy and actually use. And she given me her favorite color schemes and said that she liked butterflies. So this book is going to be butterfly, or is butterfly inspired. So that's this one, and then you guys saw mine, and now I'm going to show you how to make a new one. So the friend that I'm making this for, her favorite thing in the world is Tweety Bird, and so Tweety is obviously yellow, so I thought, and she also has a yellow car, so I thought I'd make a yellow cover for her. And I'm just gonna play around with this one also, and it's going to be random themed and random colored inside. So yeah, stay tuned and check out how I make this. So first of all, I have taken some normal printing paper. This is just copy paper, so it's really thin, but I'm not going to use cardstock on these because they'll bind really hard. And the whole purpose of this prayer book is that it is made cheaply and it's not professional, therefore you are more likely to use it. if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down these copy papers, and there's 6 of them here, and then this will be the cover. But I'm going to cut the cover first. So let me show you. I had this idea that I wanted to use an envelope in the book. So if this was the book, then I wanted to have an envelope in here, and that's just to put any loose papers or notes or prayers that you might have had in here, or any bookmarks and stuff that you're not currently using, or paper clips. So I thought that would be a really nice idea. So if I'm going to do that, then I need to just alter the size of this a little bit. So I'm going to work with this dimensions. So I'm just going to use a ruler and a pencil to kind of get an idea of the size that it should be. So I'm just going to leave a little bit of space there for this, and make sure it's kind of even. So that looks fine. So I'm going to make a line there. So now I can measure out exactly how long this is. So this is 11.12 centimeters. So I'll go 11.12, 11.12 there. And then that doesn't seem right. Does that seem right? No. Let's just do that again. 11.12. Oh yeah, no, I don't know what I did there. Yep, this looks better. And yeah, so now I know exactly where I have to cut that piece of paper. So I'm going to use my paper cutter to just cut along that edge there. There we go, and we know it's really straight then. So if I measure this piece of paper, I'll see that this is 22.4 centimeters, and so then I know exactly how to cut these papers. So if that's 22.4, I'm going to make it slightly smaller, because I want the cover of this page to, wrap the inside papers, because that's a mistake I made on this one. So it's kind of coming out, like you can see there. So I want to make it a bit bigger, so that doesn't happen. So I'm just going to make this smaller. So that was 22.4. So that means we need to do, let's just do 22. There we go. So I've got 6 papers in here, so that'll make a book of exactly 12 pieces of paper. So now we're going to score each of these. I mean, you could score them together, but the chances are you could mess it up a bit, so I wouldn't take that chance. Try to get the edges together and make it as neat as possible, because you want this to look like it's professionally made, but still with a touch of love. So this scorer I just got from AliExpress, and I think it was $2. It was really, really cheap, but really glad I got it, because it scores the papers so well. So So the only thing I'd say about this book is you can't really add too much paper to it. Like if it gets too thick, it you know, obviously because it's not professionally binded, it's kind of hard when it gets thicker, but overall it's, yeah, I'm really happy with how these turn out. Yeah, they work really well for the purpose that I want them anyway. So you can do all kinds of decorations on these. You don't have to make them as plain as I do. It's just because I am making them for friends that you don't necessarily know what their taste is going to be like. So you want to keep it neutral. But you can add washi tapes and photos and, you know, any embellishments and stuff that you might have and think that looks pretty. Okay, so that's going to be this. Now I would erase this line just because we don't want to fuzz with that later. Okay, that's good. And I don't have a proper scoring board, which I did, but I don't. So I just basically use this as a scorer. I take this and I just lightly indent it. I mean, don't press too hard, obviously. Is that right? Did I muck this up? No, I didn't. That looks right. So you get a perfect score there. And let's see if it fits. So that fits perfectly. I'm going to have a beautiful envelope in there now. Okay, so let's start with the binding. So what I like to do is I like to bind these first and then bind this one in that one. So that way it's just more secure and better fitting almost. So I don't know what the correct procedure would be for binding these, but I saw a video from James Burke. I am a subscriber to his channel on my other channel that I have, and I'll link his stuff below so you can go check it out. But the way he does it is basically manually, like using these little staples and just binding them manually. So I'm going to show you guys how I'm doing that, and yeah, it's been working really well for me. So I'm going to need 5 of these staples, and be sure not to get your finger caught, like your nail caught in between these, because that'll hurt really badly. I've done that in the previous book I made. It was really painful, so don't do that. Okay, so I'm just setting that aside, and then you need a pin. So I'm just going to use a pin like this, and this one's a bit crooked from doing exactly this, but it's still working. So you want to make sure these are lined exactly in the middle. You can always just cut off some of the excess if there is that's not looking good. So to do this, you're just going to press on here to make indents so you know where it fits exactly. I'm just pressing on there and it will make the marks. Then I'm going to do one in the middle, right there, and then one towards the end. And then you'll attach the cover here and there, which is like the only spaces that are left. So just make sure that it's aligned again properly, and you take your pin. Have one of these cutting mats underneath just to be sure, and then just press through. And that's one of the other reasons it's better to have, you know, just a small amount of paper that you're binding, because it's kind of hard to do bigger books this way. If you had a proper stapler, then, you know, for more quantities, then that'll work perfectly, but I don't, so I'm just doing it like this. So now it's exactly in the middle and these are poking through, so I just use my scorer and pressing down in the middle. I'm just closing this like that and doing this side. Just closing them, and there we go. So I'm going to repeat these two and I'll be back. Okay, so now I'm going to show you to make the cover, or to bind the cover. So if you use this as a template, you'll see those three that are already binded on there. So now you can just take the staple and mark out in between those 2 more spaces. And this will be a bit harder because you're gonna go through all of these layers. So make sure to align your book properly, make sure it closes correctly and it sits well. You know what, I should probably do it on the outside, or maybe I can just go like this. I'll punch these holes through, just through the one layer, and then that'll give me a template as to where to go through. So now that'll be easier. So align them up exactly the way you want your book to fold. It's a bit tricky. Because you need to make sure the paper inside sits well. So I'm just going to take some of these clips that I have and just clip them in place to make sure I am staying exactly where they should be. So now when I make these marks, or when I put this through, it'll stay the same, which will be easier to put the staples in. So I'm just pressing through. I'm making sure I still have the mat underneath so that I don't poke any holes in my craft mat. And now inserting these, and this could be a bit tricky, but this one went through fine. So there we go. And press it down as hard as you can, making sure that it's really intact. Now this book's binded, and I'm just gonna use my scorer and just lightly, my bone folder, and just lightly go over it. And there we go. There's your book. So now I'm gonna attach this envelope to the inside of this page. And to do that, I'm just going to use some dry glue, this roller tape, inexpensive from a dollar store. And it's not the best quality envelope, but that's exactly why I'm using it, because you know, I'm just using up my stash, and also you don't need to put a good quality thing in there, because it's really just for yourself, really. I think I want to just get this down a bit, so I'm just going to go like that, and then stick the envelope down. So you want to make sure that it's aligned properly, because these dry glues, once it's down, it's really down. It's not lifting. Just giving it a light rub, making sure that it's adhered great. So there we go. So that's your little book, and now you can start embellishing it and creating some beautiful pieces of art like this. So I hope you guys got inspired from making this little prayer journal, and if you did, please give my channel a thumbs up, like, comment, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!